Well, here we are. Brand new, just got it today. It's the Yanmar SV40. Just took delivery of it. So apparently, I don't think there's a whole lot of these out there. This is their first one. I guess Yanmar's changing to red, and this is their first one that they're switching over to red. And yeah, so got it off the truck. I had to do some other work. Just wanted to give it a little quick run or whatever. We got the hydraulic thumb on there. This got the 24-inch bucket on there. I brought the 12-inch bucket. And we've got a 36-inch grading bucket that's coming, but that's not in yet. Adding this to our lineup, and went with the cab on there. This has got a lot of good features to it, and from what I understand, this thing is pretty much like the 50. The VIO 50, but they've got a little bit smaller tail swing on it, and that's pretty tight. I mean, it overhangs with this particular counterweight on it. It overhangs by about 4 inches or so, and if you get, they have a bigger counterweight on there. If you want to get a bigger counterweight on it to pick up some heavier stuff, then you can get a bigger counterweight that'll stick out about another 5 inches. So I think that will be like 9 inches overhang off the track than the other. The hydraulics on this are the same as the VIO 50. So it that thing is pretty stout. And just wanted to, I mean, we just got it off the truck. I wanted to add some logs in a ditch down here from an old tree we had cut down, so just went and picked those up that I hadn't been able to get out of the ditch with the tractor, and picked those up like it was nothing. Ripped out some trees. I got to dig that stump out over there later, but it picked that up like it was nothing. Nice size log there. And it did not pick this up, but I just used the teeth on it. Now, it was hard to do because that thing is so rotted out, but it is rotten, so it's not a solid trunk. But I was able to dig the teeth in there and get a good enough hold on it that I just drug it across the ditch from where it had fell across. I just drug that and pulled it up the hill, and didn't sputter, didn't choke, didn't hesitate one bit. I mean, it handled it like a champ. So one little thing was that they had it on the option controls, which is the standard controls or John Deere controls for the backhoe, and then their definition of standard is ISO. So that was one little thing. I had to go back and look at the manual. I was kind of fighting with it because I'm used to ISO pattern, and the standard on this means ISO. So once I figured out what their verbiage was, then said, okay, standard is ISO, so I'm going to, instead of standard being standard, so I went to the little standard setting on there, and then it had the control pattern that I'm used to. So once I figured that out, then other than that, and it didn't take me that long to figure it out. I mean, as soon as I sat down, I'm like, okay, these controls aren't right. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, do I switch it to standard? So yeah, sometimes the manual comes in good. Thing I liked about the Yanmar, it has the hydraulic coupler on the bucket. So you just got one little pin, and it's just a simple, twist the pin, lift it up, twist the pin, and it pulls out, and then you can rotate your bucket out on the inside with the hydraulic coupler. So that comes standard on the Yanmars. You got to pay extra for other ones. And this thing is stout. I mean, it is really stout. It's really well balanced. I don't feel, you know, any off balance at all. And of course, they've got the diverters on here. We have the hydraulic thumb. So if I want to add a second set of lines in there, I can add that in there. You know, if we want to add and that way I don't have to disconnect. So if I want to add in a breaker, a hydraulic breaker or something like that, I can add that in there. I got to look at the flow rate on this thing to see if I can go with to run a mulching head on this. I know the mulching head they have that they run on the 50, the 36 inch runs on a 50. I would think, since this is pretty much the internal guts and everything of the 50, and they just kind of changed some of the body style and made a couple other things changes, that it should be able to run it, but I got to double check on that. So if any of you know, make a comment. That's fine. But this thing is so brand spanking new. I had the regional sales manager show up at my doorstep. He lives around this area anyway, and he wanted to be here when we took delivery of it, so he was taking pictures. So yeah, that's the new item we're adding to our lineup here. So I'll get some footage here soon and start uploading this, because I know there's not a lot of footage on that SV40, so I want to get some footage out there and kind of do a review and talk about it some and let you guys get a look at this thing in action. I've got to get used to it. It's a little bit different. I've run Kubotas, and this one, you know, the controls are a little bit more touchy, and so I'm fairly jerky on it. But I'll work out some of that, and I'll tell you what, this one has the air conditioning unit, and I love it. I'm old and I like to be comfortable now, so it's gonna be a nice work machine.